On today's Clean Sheet of Ice, the Texas Hockey Podcast episode, we're going to get into exit interviews from the Dallas Stars. I went on Saturday, went up to Frisco, talked to a bunch of people. We didn't get to go in the locker room and just have conversations with people. Everyone came to the podium, so I don't think we got as much as we would like, but we got a lot to talk about on today's Clean Sheet of Ice, Texas Hockey Podcast, brought to you by Zing Zang, America's #1 Bloody Mary Mix. We love Zing Zang. Zang responsibly with America's #1 Bloody Mary Mix, Zing Zang. And shout out to Prize Picks. Use code Apollo when you sign up and get up to $100 matched on your first deposit. Prize Picks is a daily fantasy app. It's not sports betting. I'm your host, Stone Strankman, joined always by Dom Garcia. How are we doing on this fine Tuesday morning? We've had a few days to process. How are we feeling?
Boy, we went from exit interviews and the Dallas Stars season being over to the off season beginning and already rolling and just in a head spin. First and foremost, I do want to say, Tim McMahon, you are enemy number one in my book and enemy number one in a lot of DFW sports fans' book for your horrendous takes on hockey in the state of Texas. I'm sure everyone who listens to this saw what happened, and I don't need to say any more. I hate Tim McMahon.
If you have listened to Zero Gravity, our Apollo Media NBA podcast, at any point in the last 2 years, you know that I've had my riffs and my qualms and my hatred for Tim McMahon. And after the Luka trade settled and how he handled the interviews with Nico Harrison of the Mavericks, I changed my tune. I was like, look, I don't like him, but he's neutral at this point. I'm good. I can handle this one. This is fine. You call it as you see it. It is what it is. Him saying that hockey is for people that don't understand sports in the DFW area was just absolutely ludicrous and called hockey not even a sport when he covers basketball. I get that he's like 6'5", but like at some point, man, you live in this city for so long. You have to understand that hockey is a part of this culture. They've been here for 30-something years at this point, 33 years, 32 years. Like, it's been a long time that hockey fans have been growing in the state of Texas and specifically in the DFW area. And for you to call them out, like as much as grace as you got the last 2 months at the end of the regular season for the NBA and the Dallas Mavericks, like you lost it all again. I
feel bad that I bought his book.
I didn't. I refused to do it. And I was getting close to buying it just because of how he handled the Nico stuff at the end of the season. And I was like, all right, yeah, we'll take a gander, see what he's learned, see what he's seen, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I'm good. Hard pass.
No. Just somebody like you see him in the American Airlines Center, like let him know Dallas Stars are one of the best fan bases. Like Butchergrass said it, like Texas hockey is unbelievable every time I go down there. Like it's incredible.
It's tough, but we're not going to talk about Tim McMahon. I'm tired of it. I've been doing it for 2 years. I'm good. So, exit interviews happen on Saturday morning,
right
in Frisco at the Comerica Center, where the Stars practice. The room was not opened up. Unfortunately, everyone in the from the Stars team was kind of just like a little bit sad, but they're excited to go sleep for the first time in several months at this point. Like they just haven't slept all year. They're like, finally get to go on vacation, finally get to go do all these things. But everybody's sad that the season's over. We led with petedeboer at the podium. And going into it, I asked Sam when we were waiting on him. He was 10, 15 minutes late. We're supposed to start promptly at 10. We didn't. I asked Sam. I was like, you think he's going to backtrack anything that he said after Game 5 with Jake? And he looked at me and he goes, no. He might be one of the most stubborn people in the NHL. He's very stubborn, is what we've learned this year and in previous years. I don't think he apologizes or walks anything back. And I was like, might be a mistake. And he goes, might be a real mistake. So with all the eyeball emojis that have happened on Twitter, we'll get into what Pete DeBoer said. He basically said his struggle to score in the hard areas in the playoffs. They relied too much on the rush in the regular season where they scored a lot of their goals, where they're able to get an open ice, get behind the defense, create one-timers in the zone, like those kinds of things, crisp passing. All of those areas shorten up in the playoffs, and they did a pretty good job of it in the first 2 rounds, not an exceptional job. He said that they just aren't able to score in the Western Conference Finals, and I don't know if it was Leah or Taylor, someone asked him about his success in the Western Conference Finals over the last 7 seasons. He's been to 6 Western Conference Finals in 7 seasons. He has not won one, and he's not extended a game into a game 7. He's only gotten to 2 wins in each of those, except for this past one where he only won 1. He then kind of doubled down on the goaltending again, and then the struggle to score in hard areas. And then he also said that maybe that 7-game losing streak in the regular season leading into the playoffs leaked a little bit too far into the playoffs. He didn't like that, which is the exact opposite of what he was saying in the regular season when that losing streak was happening. He's like, I like our game. I like where we're at. It's just not bouncing our way right now. Yada, yada, yada. He basically just flip-flopped that. He completely went on 180 and was like, yeah, that leaked into the playoffs too far, and I didn't like that. And then the last thing from Pete was that I took was haven't had a chance to talk to Jake since before Game 5. It was Saturday. That game happened on Thursday. He had the opportunity to talk to him in the locker room during multiple intermissions, post-game, the next day, the next morning when they're all at practice or at the practice arena. He has an opportunity to talk to him, and he has not talked to him. And I don't know if he's talked to him since. It is now Tuesday, June 3rd. This episode's going to come out on Wednesday. But essentially, he did not walk anything back that he said during the Game 5 post-game press conference. Everyone's tweeting eyeball emojis. Kevin Weeks, a lot of people hearing things. I'm hearing things. If something is to happen, I would expect it to happen. I'm not saying it's petedeboer. I'm not saying it's a trade. I'm not saying anything. But if there is going to be Dallas Stars news, it'll happen by the end of this week or early next week.
Man, it's just there were so many times throughout this season where we really leaned on Pete DeBoer's leadership and calmness, and I wish he could coach himself. Like, I wish he'd realize, like, he's so good at picking up players in the regular season and then to just dump on Jake. And I know we went on it all last episode on how I disagreed with the decision to pull him. I disagree with the decision to keep him out of the game. And I disagree with the behavior and just the body language when Jake got pulled, and ESPN perfectly got Pete's get the fuck off the ice. Man, I was willing to give Pete a chance at this exit interview, and I was very disappointed with just the New England Patriots kind of interview answers of, you know, I did what I did and we lost the game. And it's just, man, exit interviews is your opportunity. It was Pete's opportunity to set the record straight, and the whole hockey world was going to listen to that. And he made no progress in that exit interview. The first couple of questions were rough to watch because it was very quick at the set. Like, he ain't gonna backtrack. He ain't gonna apologize for nothing. He's set in his ways, and that's how he's gonna feel. And to hear that he hasn't talked to Jake is, man, that's a fireable offense right there.
Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and call for anyone's job, but objectively, when you look at it, you have that goaltender signed for 8 years. Pete DeBoer has 1 more year left on his contract. He is a coach. He is not a player. He does have a part in this game. He does have an effect of what happens on the ice, but ultimately the players have the last say when it comes to that. And to knock your goalie for the next 8 years, your superstar goalie, top 5 goalie in the NHL, one of the best in the world, one of the best American hockey goalie guy that we got. Like, he's the dude. He is a fan favorite. He has the nickname. He has the cartoon character that they tweet out all the time. He has a fucking commercial on Victory Plus. Like, he is the guy when it comes to the Dallas Stars. When you think of the Dallas Stars, you think Jakeoettinger first. You don't think Rupe. You don't think Mikko. You don't think Wyatt Johnson. You don't think Pete DeBoer. You don't think Tyler Seguin or Jamie Benn anymore. It is Jakeoettinger. When I see Jakeoettinger jerseys more often than not in AAC when I go to those games. He is the guy. And for you to not be able to either backtrack anything, apologize for anything, not have a conversation with the guy, regardless if that guy doesn't want to have a conversation with you, which I know he doesn't. It's really tough to look at. And for all the eyeball emojis that are happening on social media from last night, me and Sam Nessel were talking. And as you know, if you listen to this podcast from day one, we had the Tyler Seguin news a month before he went on LTIR. That was the plan all along. We held on to it. We stood on our ground, and we're just like, look, if this happens, it happens. And I don't care to be the one that breaks the news, because you don't want to burn anyone's bridges or piss anyone off in the organization. And like at the end of the day, we're reporters and we understand that we have a job to do, but that wasn't my business to tweet out. So I didn't tweet anything out. When it comes to this one, I'm not going to tweet anything out. I'm not going to say anything on this podcast. I'm not going to tweet it. I'm not going to put it in group chats. Dom, you may be the first to know if I know anything, but outside of that, we're keeping it close to the chest, and the eyeball emojis are real. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. Yeah. And, talking to my dad, who this season has found his love for the Dallas Stars, he kind of like the game, he got pulled so early in the game. That's like taking Hunter Brown out of the game in the first inning.
With one out.
And then just kind of not talking to him for a week. Like, that's Hunter Brown's the best player on the Astros. Not even close. And arguably a Cy Young candidate. Like,
no, he's top 2.
Yeah.
And he's not 3. He's definitely 2.
Almost as many wins as the Rockies right now. Like, unbelievable season. And just a workhorse, exactly like Jake Oettinger. And you don't treat your best player like that under any situation, dude. You just don't. And especially in a elimination game where you need your best player out on the court, ice, field, whatever. And just, I'm just going to say, if this is the last of petedeboer with the Dallas Stars, he did this to himself. And it sucks because he's a really good coach, and he did great things for Team Canada at Four Nations. He's a good coach, but man, he can't stay out of his own way. He just can't do it.
Yeah, and this isn't the first time that this has happened, where he's called out a goaltender in the playoffs and ultimately lost his job because of it. It's happened 3 times now. This is the 3rd, and he still has his job right now. So I have a very good idea of who the replacement would be if that were to happen. It would shock some people. It'd probably surprise a lot of people. But at the end of the day, you're not going to be able to hire a coach better than Pete DeBoer right now on the open market. You're just not. Pete DeBoer is a top 6, top 7 head coach in the NHL, maybe top 5. And the problem is that he's not able to win the Western Conference Finals at this point, and he burns bridges out of stubbornness, out of frustration. I don't know what it is. This has happened multiple times. So it's tough. It's tough to be a head coach in this league, one, and it's really tough when you go to 3 Western Conference Finals in a row and you don't win more than 2 games. You don't have success. I was thinking about it. Jamie Benn and Tyler Seguin got called out at the beginning of this millennium, maybe 2018, 2019, like by the owner. It was like, we are paying superstar money to these 2 guys, and they are not superstars. They are not performing on the ice. I don't see points on the board. I don't see success on the ice. They fixed their shit, They went to the second round in 2019 and lost in Game 7 to those Blues that ended up winning the Cup. Like, they had a really good chance to win the Cup that year if they get past the Blues. They ended up losing. 2020, you go to the Stanley Cup Finals and lose after firing your head coach midseason, mind you. Jim Montgomery got fired midseason for an off-the-ice issue. And then you hire Bonus, and they go to the bubble, and they make it to the Cup Finals, and they end up losing in 6 games. And then you kind of have a bunch of injuries the next couple of years, but then 2023 rolls around, and all of a sudden you're going to the Western Conference Finals every year for the rest of time. It feels like you're just going to go to the Western Conference Finals, and it feels like, how do we get over that hump? I don't know if the coach is the answer. I don't know if the roster is the answer. I couldn't tell you, but we're in murky waters right now with Pete DeBoer, and if anything happens later this week, we'll talk about it, obviously, but we'll see.
Well, we'll see. It's sure where there's smoke, there's fire, and it sure seems like there's a lot of smoke around the DFW area.
Yep. So we'll see. That was Pete DeBoer at Exit Interviews. Just kind of not a contentious interview, but everyone was walking on eggshells when asking the questions and making sure to ask the right ones and see if they could get anything out of it. I don't think we got anything out of it outside of him not walking anything back and apologizing. So we'll move on to the players. We had Jamie Benn next, and essentially the whole thing was, I don't want to play anywhere else. I do plan on playing next season. Yeah, that was what I got out of Jamie Benn, and you don't normally get anything out of him, but I thought it was a fun conversation. He smiled a good bit. He was laughing a good bit, and he's getting older. He's got a kid now and a wife. Like, he goes home and he's separating hockey from personal life, and he's doing his best at that and all that kind of stuff. But if Jamie Benn is playing hockey next year, it will be in Dallas, and I have no doubts in my mind about that.
Yeah, it feels too right. I mean, To think of Jamie Benn anywhere else would be like Hakeem Olajuwon in the Raptors jersey. It just does not. It doesn't mix. And it was really good to hear Jamie kind of confirm, like, man, we all knew he would do whatever it took to stay with the Stars, and it was really good to kind of get that from player to media, and then media to the fans, that Jamie Benn is a star. He will always be a Dallas Star.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, this wasn't said by Jamie, but Tyler, Jake, Matt Duchene, the other ones that went to the podium, all said that Jamie Benn is the best captain in the NHL, which most players would say that about their captain. I get that. But for Matt Duchene, he's played on multiple teams. Tyler Seguin's played on 2 different teams with like Patrice Bergeron and Chara. Like he played on a fucking squad
Yeah.
in Boston. Like he saw winning culture and great captains and all-time greats. He says Jamie's the best captain in the NHL. He does so much for this team. What Jamie said was like, yeah, my role changed, but my mentality didn't. The purpose of this game is to win the Stanley Cup. And that is our only objective, whether he is scoring and he's on the top line and he's the Art Ross Trophy winner, or if he's a fourth line checker at this point. And he said it to Wayne Gretzky in the locker room after the Winnipeg series. And he understands that his role is changing and that he is getting older and his performance is now going to be graded on a different scale, and understands that that's what's best for the team. He does not care about personal results. He doesn't care about his individual statistics at this point. He just wants to go win fucking hockey games. And that's what I got out of Jamie Benn.
Yeah, that's what I got to. And just he wants to win, but he wants to win for Dallas. Like it's kind of starting to really weigh on him. Like we've had the teams, we've had the players, and we've definitely had the fan support. Like I really want to do this, and I want to do this in Big D.
Yeah, and the last person we'll talk about is Matt Duchene, but what he said about Jamie Benn is like, you want to talk about a type of player that has a statue outside of an arena that means so much to a city and to a team, to an arena, to an organization as a whole. Jamie Benn is that guy. If at the end of the day he retires without a cup, he deserves that statue. He deserves his number up in the rafters, which guaranteed we're never going to see another number 14 play for the Dallas Stars. It'll be Jamie Benn, and then whenever he hangs them up, there will be no more 14s that ever play for the Dallas Stars. Not that it's a popular number, but that will be in the rafters. There will be a 14 up there in AAC. If there is a cup, there will be a statue of probably Jamie Benn outside of AAC. And if they end up moving to Irving, then it'll be outside there. Like that is the type of player that they're talking about. And whether the statistics back it up or not, he means so much to that locker room and rallying the guys and being the leader for not just the old guys in the room, but the young guys and different positions and all that kind of stuff. He has an effect on everyone in the locker room at the end of the day. And that's what I took away from the exit interviews from everybody else that said it, because Jamie Benn's not going to go up there and brag about his leadership skills or anything like that. But he wants to win for this team and this organization and these fans, and he's never going to leave. And if he does, I'd be shocked.
Yeah, no, I've seen Avs fans talk about like their list of like free agents, and they're like convinced that they could make a run at Jamie Benn, and he's like the guy they need. But like, just he ain't going nowhere, man.
No,
he's not going anywhere.
Not at all. Speaking of Jamie Benn, his best friend, Tyler Seguin. They've been together for about 12 years now, I believe. They're best friends. Tyler said he's the best captain in the league, and all he wants to do is win that cup for Jamie. Tyler's already got his cup, and he understands how hard it is now. He won it in his first year with Boston. Like, he's a rookie, like, young guy, went through a lot of mistakes and things and ended up getting traded to Dallas. Like, he's grown so much just as a person, let alone a hockey player, and all he wants is to win that cup for Jamie Benn specifically. He obviously wants to win it for the rest of the boys in the locker room and the city and the organization and everything, but he's like, I just want to see Jamie Benn lift that cup one day, because it's going to happen. And when it does, it's going to be the best day ever. Like that's all it was. And battling back from injury, like turning his house into a therapy, like a physical therapy section, like spent a lot of money to make sure that he was able to come back for the playoffs. And I think he played really well, considering, and he said he skipped the last half or the last quarter or last third of physical therapy on his injury because he just wanted to get back to the boys. And he's like, I'm only going to be faster. I haven't felt this loose and had this much mobility in my hip since I was 13, maybe. Like, just a funny comment from Tyler. But like, the fact that he was fairly healthy in the playoffs this year and knowing that he has more physical therapy this offseason to get all the way 100% better heading into next regular season, I think we're going to see a really good Tyler Seguin next year.
Yeah, and when I listened to his exit interview, it just kinda he was very honest, and he just kinda ate it on the chin, man. He said, "We didn't bring it, and Edmonton did."
Yep.
And you kinda got a sense of, like, he feels we have the guys in the room to get to a Stanley Cup. It just, you know, he was like, I'm not the GM, but Jim does a great job, and I'm sure they'll make some things happen, but if they don't, all the boys in that locker room, they're committed and they're hungry to get to that cup."
Yeah, and both Jamie and Tyler both did say something about Mikko Rantanen, getting him in the locker room, and they said from day one he was a vocal leader. And there's a reason that everybody listens to him. He's not necessarily different from the Finns, but he's vocal, whereas the rest of the Finns may not be as vocal. Um, he knows how to win a cup. He's done it. He's one of the best players on that cup team, top 3, top 4, like one of the best players on the Colorado Avalanche that have Landeskog, Cale Makar, and Nathan McKinnon on their squad. Like, and he was one of those guys. He was
Yeah.
one of their top point performers. He was one of the best playoff performers that we've seen in Dallas Stars history now. And they spoke wonders about Mikko Rantanen. They're excited to see what his 8 years turns out to be with Dallas. And he's going to be here for a long time. He's going to be a staple for this organization, but doesn't have to be the guy. He doesn't have to be the leader, which they thought was very important. And they thought he could be the guy, the leader in the locker room. And they're like, doesn't even have to be, but he was making sure from day one, after the first day or two of practice, after the first game, like he was talking in that locker room and they spoke wonders about him. So I thought that was cool too.
Yeah, I did too. I mean, when guys are that good, like Bryce, I think of Bryce Harper, like
Yeah.
sometimes they expect their teammates to play at a level just like them when like very few people on planet Earth have that talent. And for Miko to, be a leader, but not be an aggressive, not be a Mitch Marner cussing out the entire bench on the sideline, like for him to have that poise and leadership mentality, it's going to be bode really well going forward for the next 8 years for Dallas.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. Jake Oettinger. I love Jake. He's my guy. Talk to him every time I can. He's my guy. So when he came up, I felt really bad for him because it's in front of cameras in a press room where it wasn't necessarily filled, but a good amount of people there, the regulars and a few extras. And he comes up and everyone's like, damn, I feel so bad for this guy. Is the vibe that I took from the press room. It's just like, this sucks. I don't really want to ask him any questions about the game or the pool or the whole playoffs as a whole. Like, I just don't want to talk to him about that. I want to talk to him about golf. What are you going to do this summer? Like, I just wanted to make sure the person, Jake Oettinger, is okay and not the player. But that's all we got was talk about the player of Jake Oettinger. He was asked about the pool in Game 5. It's a quick pool, and he says, look, the end of the day, if I make one of those 2 saves or both of those saves, like, I don't come out of that game and we have a really good shot to win that game, go to Edmonton in Game 6. Like, that, it sucks. It's embarrassing. But I felt like he was in good spirits, and they asked him about petedeboer and whether he's talked to him since then, or we said that petedeboer hasn't had a chance to talk to you, and he goes, nope. And then they asked if that relationship was going to be frayed or broken, or is there a trust barrier now? Like, where's all that? And he took a really long pause, which he doesn't do ever. Like, he pretty much has an answer right away, or he has a couple of stutters and then gets into the answer, or has a couple words, pauses, then goes into the answer. Like, he paused a long time and looked to the left at the wall, basically, and it was just like, yeah, I don't know. I think we're fine, essentially, is what he said at the end of the day. And having talked to Jake all season, I feel like it's a real problem, and that's why we're having eyeball emoji watch with the Dallas Stars this week before the Stanley Cup Finals even get underway. Like, we still have another day till it comes out. It comes out on Wednesday. That the Stanley Cup playoffs or finals start on Wednesday night. Like, for that pause to happen and him just kind of be vulnerable at the podium for those 2-3 split seconds where he's just pausing, and then he gives the hockey answer and the correct answer at the end of the day. But you can tell that he doesn't like it. The rest of the roster didn't like it. Casey DeSmith talked about it. I don't know if it was on the record or off the record, but no one liked the call. No one liked how he handled it afterwards. So, yeah, Jake's going to play a lot of golf this offseason, and I'm happy for him. Get that handicap down, go play some fun places, go play in Minnesota. I told him we can go play in Miami. We'll see if that ends up happening. But Yeah, Jake's exit interview was interesting. I talked to him about stats because I saw the stats. We mentioned it on the last podcast. He's faced 445 shots, like 70 more than any other goalie in the postseason. Does your mentality change when you know you're coming into a game and you're going to face 30 shots? He goes, would rather that than have like 3 shots on goal in the first period. Like that sounds way better to me than 3 shots on goal. And I was like, he said he doesn't look into stats. He doesn't like them. At the end of the day, he's got to make saves, and it doesn't matter how many. So good spirits, I would say, but tough exit interview for Jake.
No, verbally he did all the right things.
Yeah.
His body language, and I didn't listen, man. When I watched this on my phone, it felt like kind of Jake took the high road on. He knew he would get questioned on this, which sucks, man, because his save percentage, I believe, was third in the entire all goalies in the postseason. Like Jake had a great postseason, and for it to kind of feel like it didn't, it's unfortunate. And luckily, like I think I saw all the boys at a Rangers game together recently. Um, if anything, the team and the players have grown even more together from this situation. So that's a positive light on things. But yeah, no, what I took is Jake is a professional and we are human. And we have feelings. And those feelings, if I was in Jake's shoes, one of the best goalies in the world, having to sit on the bench in an elimination game, I would have been livid. And for him to come back out says a lot about him, the person.
Yeah, and he said at one point, he's like, look, if I'm the best goaltender in the world next year, which I believe I have the capability to do, and I believe I was for a good stretch there, that I come out, we win the cup, I'm the best goaltender in the world. I'm not sitting here and asking or answering these stupid questions, and we're not sad, essentially. He's like, it's not going to matter at the end of the day if I go out and perform at the best of my abilities, and I believe I can. He said he's healthy enough to go play another 40 games right now. Thought that was interesting. He had an upper respiratory illness during the playoffs, into the second round, into the Western Conference Finals, and he said that didn't affect him. I would guess that it did at the end of the day, but you can't say that an upper respiratory illness is going to affect you when Rupe Hintz is out there skating on a fractured foot.
Yeah.
And that's a hockey guy mentality, and he believes that he was able to perform at the best of his abilities, and he just didn't. And it sucks, and it's embarrassing, and it sucks for Jake. He's my guy, man. He's my guy.
It's our guy. And that's really like, I've said this multiple times. There's not a single hockey head I know that saw that situation and said, man, Pete did the right thing. Not
No
one.
one. No one's saying that. So yeah, Jake's was tough, and everyone in the room felt it. There's a lot of tension in the room with Pete and Jake when they came to the podium. Everyone else was just like, it's exit interviews. We'll get this over with. We're trying to find some questions and find it interesting to write a story about. Like, that's what it came down to. But yeah, Jake's was tough. Last one that we talked to at the podium was Matt Duchene, pending UFA. He's done 2 $1 by $3 million deals with the Dallas Stars. He basically said that a lot of things. He said a lot of things, but at the end of the day, he doesn't want to go anywhere. He wants to stay here. He wants to be a Dallas Star. He wants to win with the Dallas Stars. But at the end of the day, he's got to look at his family, and his son is about to go into the first grade. He's got to look for stability. He's got to look for a multi-year deal. Every other aspect of the game, he is coming back to the Dallas Stars. The one thing is he needs stability. He may need multiple years to get it done, or like a handshake deal. Like, look, we're doing another 1 by 2. And then the next year we'll get you a 2-year deal or a 3-year deal, or however long you want to play. Maybe we'll just do that. I think kind of like Joe Pavelski was with the Stars. He's just like, look, the end of the career is coming. I just need handshakes. I need assurances that I'm going to be here for the long haul. And obviously the Joe Pavelski one, he had an extra year on his deal when he retired, but he'd rather that happen than him run out of contract and then have to move and play a couple more years somewhere else. His family's getting older, and he needs some sort of stability for his contract to be for sure. But at the end of the day, he wants to be a Dallas Star, and he wants to win it here. So we'll see what happens this offseason and where Jim Nill what he can do with his cap navigating, and he's really fucking good at it. But when you only got $6 million and you got like 5 players that you probably need to sign, it gets really hard. And I hope Dutchie comes back. He's a great guy. He's good for the media. He's able to get stories out, and he talks at length about a lot of things, and he's very vulnerable, obviously, with the Spit and Chicklets thing earlier this season. And class guy. Great guy. I mean, I finally got to talk to him before Game 5 at morning skate. I've been trying to talk to him for ages during that Western Conference Finals, but he's just hounded by reporters because they know that he is going to talk at length about things and they can get something out of it. I asked him about the Morgan Wallen album, what he thought. That's what I talked to him about. I didn't ask him a hockey question. He was very excited and he lit up and he talked for multiple minutes about the Morgan Wallen album with me and all that. So I hope he comes back, but at the end of the day, he just wants to win, and it sucks that they weren't able to score and they didn't do a good enough job for Jake and the rest of the roster and the defense, and they just weren't able to pick him up. And he said it sucks and it's embarrassing about that. They didn't deserve that, and he thought this team was really fucking good. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter because they didn't win, and he just wants to stay here and win here. So.
Yeah, no, I loved his. I always like his. Anytime he talks to the media, but we will get into future episodes of Clean Sheet of Ice on what to do with the cap, what to do, what players to bring back. I want him to be back, but yeah, no, he has been. This year was, in my opinion, his best season of hockey that he's had. And then the postseason wasn't what he wanted. So I don't know what other teams are thinking, but we'll definitely get into it. And I hope he does come back to Dallas this offseason.
Yeah, probably next week we'll start looking at the pending UFAs and see what they can do with the cap space and trade rumors, which we'll kind of mention here at the end of the podcast. But it'll be interesting offseason for the Stars for sure, and especially for Dutchy. Like, great guy, and he just wants to be here. He wants to play in Nashville or Dallas, and he's never going back to Nashville. So, like, hopefully that gets done and we get to have another year or two of Matt Duchene. I would love that. It's a great guy. Easy to talk to you about anything. He's a good dude. I like him a lot.
Love the way he plays too.
Yep. So Robert Tiffin and Sam Nessler were able to go outside of the press room and talk to a couple players. So these were not comments that were made to me or the rest of the press room. It was just those one-on-one conversations, but they were on the record. So Rupe Hintz did say some things off the record that Robert didn't even tell us, so we don't even know. But Rupe did confirm that he had a fractured foot off the Darnell Nurse slash in game 2, I believe. So confirmed fractured foot. Sucks. He's got to go have surgery probably or wear a cast or a boot or whatever for however long. And it's tough, and it's incredible that he came back and was able to play and even skate with Connor McDavid on a fractured foot on that breakaway in game 5. Like, there's very few players in the world that could even get to that length against Connor McDavid, let alone just kind of catch up to him on a breakaway. And then he did it on a fractured foot. Imagine if he was at full speed and didn't have a fractured foot. Maybe he makes that stick lift and he's able to get around McDavid and create a little chaos in front of Casey and misses the net, and that game's still 3-2, and we got a shot. But at the end of the day, fractured foot confirmed.
Yeah, and just unbelievable that he was out there for the Stars. I mean, even if it wasn't a fractured foot, like the way he reacted after getting that stick, I thought probably not seeing him again. And that's why I was so pissed when there was just a 2-minute minor on the penalty. But speedy recovery, and now he's going to have this time. We know when he's at his best, we know what he can do. And I'm really excited to see a healthy Rupe Hintz.
Yep. And he had one of his most healthy seasons in the regular season throughout it and into the playoffs. So hopefully that good juju keeps coming back for Rupe, and we got him at full speed next year. But last injury news was Nils Lundqvist was cleared to play the day before game 5 from his shoulder surgery. Then he ended up going on LTIR for at the trade deadline, and sucks for him because he was playing some of the best hockey before he got hurt. And then this last 2 months that he was playing with a hurt shoulder where he needed surgery and everyone knew it, at some point it had to happen. They put him on LTIR. He got the surgery. He was able to play before game 5. I don't think he would have ever played in that series or even in the Stanley Cup Finals, but based on what we saw last year in the playoffs with petedeboer and Nils Lundqvist, but he was cleared to play. So we got a healthy Nils next year if he comes back, and he's a good player. And I think he's a really good guy in the locker room as well. I haven't got to talk to him a ton because he's not one of the main guys, so you don't talk to him in the press a ton. And then obviously he got hurt pretty early on, halfway through the season. So good for Nils making that comeback and training hard like he was the last month or two, skating, morning skates. He was doing practices. He was doing all the things. So he did all the right things. He was able to get cleared the day before game 5, but ultimately probably wasn't even going to play.
Yeah, and that would have been a tough ask for him to play anyway. But it is good to know that, when that injury happened, I knew he would be done for, I thought, all the year. And for him to come back is a good sign. And I don't know what will his future will be, but you're right. He's a very, very stable kind of back end comfort player.
Yep. Last thing before we go, more rumors on Twitter started spreading yesterday morning, yesterday afternoon.
Yep.
Eyeball emojis. Jason Robertson's name is out there in trade talks. I want to put that to rest right now. Jim Nill doesn't let anything get out until it's time. Essentially, like the Logan Stankoven name being floated out there a couple hours after the Mikko Rantanen deal with Carolina had started to really progress at about midnight Eastern time, the day before the trade deadline, where, look, that deal's getting really close. They're talking about extensions. And then all of a sudden, Logan Stankoven's name gets out there. The Stars organization was pissed that someone leaked that out because that doesn't happen with the Stars. Jim Nill does not let anyone know anything until it is time. For it to be just a couple days, I mean, we're 5 days after the Western Conference Finals ending. Robo is not in trade rumors. This is 31 other teams in the NHL and insiders saying, look, they're in cap hell right now. They got $6 million in cap space heading into next season. They got a bunch of players they got to retain or find some free agents to go on the bottom lines and the bottom D pairings. And at the end of the day, Jim Nill is not putting that out there. The Stars are not putting that out there. That is assumptions and just guesses from 31 other teams. Like, look, they have a great trade piece who's an RFA, arbitration eligible for next offseason. He's making $7 million plus right now, and he would be the prime guy to be traded this offseason for the Dallas Stars to create cap space. And if they do ultimately decide to do that, that is one thing. But right now, I can guarantee you that is not coming from the Dallas Stars and that he is not on the trade block as of right now. June 3rd, Tuesday morning, it's 11 a.m. He's not on the trade block, guys. These are 31 other teams and insiders looking at their cap space available and saying, look, that is a great trade piece. You can get a lot of good young players back, probably a couple of draft picks. You can restock from what you did for the Mikko trade and the Granny trade. You could do a lot of those things. But at the end of the day, I expect Jason Robertson to be a Dallas Star next season. I could be wrong. I expect Jason Robertson to probably be a long-term player for the Dallas Stars. I would assume that he comes back, him and Thomas Harley getting extensions during the training camp period, and that cap then decreasing for the next couple of years after that. But at the end of the day, Jason Robertson is a Dallas Star, and that is not coming from the Stars organization. That is coming from outside noise and presumptions. So putting that to rest right now. And if it changes this offseason, I will backtrack it and be like, look, maybe that was right. Maybe they were putting that out there. It's not the case at all.
Yeah, it felt too fast. Like, I remember when Kyle Tucker got traded, it went from like one day he's working on an extension. The next day he's with the Chicago Cubs. Like, that was majorly fast. We thought we were going to sign Bregman at that time. But this just was I barely recovering. A couple of days without hockey will really change you. And it was so weird. Like, oh, the Dallas Stars don't play hockey today. It's kind of odd. But no, what kind of threw me off in this situation was I didn't see any of the Dallas media saying anything about this. And it was all coming from Elliot Friedman. It was all coming from the national media. And I'm not calling them liars, but if a Nestler or a Stone, if those are the guys that are, out there saying these things, that's when I kind of say, oh, now we really need to look at this possibility. But yeah, no, it did not feel right. And listen, for all we know, maybe they are fielding calls for him, but to say they are ready to deal him a couple days after exit interviews, it doesn't seem realistic to me. And now we know from your sources and the people you've talked to that it's a little much to do about nothing at this point.
It's all presumptions from 31 other teams and insiders. It's not from us. So the eyeball emoji watch is on, but it's not for that. Regards to the staff, that is what we will be looking at. The one thing that I am very sure about is that something will happen to the staff, because we were told that Jim Nill will have media availability, his exit interview essentially, where we'll learn about injuries and whatnot to have the end of the season tie it up with Jim Nill. He will be made available to the media. We were supposed to know pretty early on this week. It is Tuesday morning at 11 a.m. Haven't received an email where he has a scheduled media availability. I would assume that once something happens, then that media availability will happen. I don't think he'll be talking to the media this week. I think it'll be next week. That is my telltale sign.
Yeah. And just like with Robo, like to deal a player that good, you can't just wake up one day and do it. It takes way more time than that. It takes way more planning. And that a trade like that would definitely alter the rest of the roster. And it's just this reporting from the national media was just a little too aggressive, in my opinion. And the eyeballs, definitely real. And we will find those eyeballs out within probably the next week.
Yep. When it comes to Jason Robertson, there's 13 players that have a better point per game in the regular season average than Robo right now in the last 3 years. If you're trading him, you're getting a fucking haul.
Yeah.
But they're not trading him because that's too valuable. And now you have Mika Rantanen, you got a full offseason to get into it. This team may look a lot different heading into next season. There may be a lot of changes, but I don't expect Robo to be one of them.
Me neither. Me personally, I'm too much of a fan of his, but I'd have to think about it, and I will think about it, but I can't think of I can't even put my head around a return that would even excite me. So until it actually happens, I don't even want to consider it.
There's one right-handed defenseman that I'm not going to mention on this that would excite me if that were to happen, but it'd have to come with a lot more than just that. Just throwing that out there.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll be back. We're going to record on Thursday to release it on Friday. Season recap, our favorite moments, and just kind of putting a bow on this whole season. We're done with exit interviews for now. Whenever we talk to Jim Nill, we'll come back and talk about that in the next week or so. But we'll be going to once a week after this week. Throughout the summer, we'll talk about free agency and the draft and all that kind of stuff. We're not going to really pay attention to the draft because we don't have any first-round picks, so it doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, we still got hockey to talk about. We're going to talk about the Stanley Cup Finals probably on Thursday. We'll talk about Game 1 and kind of preview Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Finals. It will be a fun one. It's a rematch from last year's two best teams in the hockey. Excited to watch it. A little bit of a hate watch halfway and a love watch the other way because I love Florida. Always have. Can't help it. But, yeah, we'll be back Thursday. Or we'll be back Friday. This episode will come out tomorrow on Wednesday, and then the next episode will come out Friday morning. We'll talk about Stars season recap 2024-2025. It's been a good ride. It's gonna be a fun one. It's gonna be a fun, interesting summer. We're gonna have a lot of things to talk about and get into over the summer break. But for now, Dom, thanks for joining. Shout out to our sponsor, Zing Zang, America's #1 Bloody Mary mix. Zang responsibly all summer long. We love Zing Zang. I saw it at Tom Thumb. They got several shelves of Zing Zang. I went there yesterday to get some groceries. Zing Zang all over the place. Grabbed an extra bottle. Why not? It's summertime. Bloody Mary mix. America's #1 Bloody Mary mix. Zing Zang. Zang responsibly. And shout out to PrizePicks. Use code Apollo when you sign up. Get up to $100 matched on your first deposit. PrizePicks is a daily fantasy app where you hit more or less on every stat, every game, every night of your player. Love PrizePicks. Love Zing Zang. Dom, thank you for joining. Love you, Stars fans. We'll be back very, very soon. It's another episode. Not Zero Gravity. Clean Sheet of Ice. Texas Hockey Podcast. We'll be back very, very soon.